really glad to have the backdrop be this marvelous looking PC-12, this Pilatus, that we acquired just last year and inputted to our flight department. We used it for a good year, and now we've been completing a lot of work on it. So glad to have it here, and glad to talk about it a little bit. I tell people, that know and have seen any of our other paint jobs, really a responsibility of my father and my mother, that we have some of those unique one-off paint jobs. I said, man, I've got a high bar to achieve here. This is going to be difficult. So I kind of went to my dad first and said, you'd hired artists in the past, and how'd you go about that? I had always admired Derek DeYoung's work, and Derek is, let's just be honest, let's just say it's simple, he's a famous artist in the fishing world, in the fishing realm. And I'd noticed his work years ago when I was in a fishing store and saw an Able reel that had been hand painted with his designs, and fell in love with it. And so yeah, we had tracked him down, and I had encouraged Derek to look. He'd never done a paint scheme for an aircraft in the past. And yeah, what you see behind me is one of his 4 or 5 ideas, renditions, but this is the one that really is obviously on the aircraft.
Over the years, I've had a lot of unique commission requests. Most of the time people want me to come paint some crazy thing, old truck or camper. That doesn't happen, because once they figure out what it actually costs to paint it, it doesn't make sense. This would be the first time someone's asked me to be a part of painting an airplane, and I think it's pretty cool. Working with Todd and the whole Duncan team, they were total pros. They knew exactly what the process required and what I needed to do to guide them towards making a somewhat realistic and colorful and beautiful fish paint scheme for the airplane.
Yeah, why fishing? That's a good question. That's something I absolutely love, and I love Derek's art. I love his work. I love the outdoors. My dad started taking me fishing when I was a kid. Took me to Canada. I was hooked as a little kid, and I've done it ever since. I've taken my friends and family. But then to take an interpretation, which is what Derek's work is here, of what fishing is. It's not just a literal fish, right? It's the experience. And so to me, this paint work on this aircraft isn't just a fish. It is part of the whole experience that you have when you go out fishing, whether it's a farm pond here in Nebraska or somewhere maybe more exotic. We came to our Duncan team with Derek's initial 5 ideas, his initial 5 designs. There were good questions. Technical questions on how you could do this and how might it be done. The different designs. What gets me excited about a project like this is when 2 or 3 of the guys, and I specifically, in the team, looked at me and said, we can do this. We can pull this off, and it'll be fantastic. And I remember Boyer saying specifically, we can make this scheme behind me absolutely beautiful. And he was just so sincere in it, and it's going to be so much fun, he said. And it has been, so it's been a real team effort, but it's been a hell of a lot of work too. I hit my dad up early on because he had hired specific artists. I think the Bluebird, I call it the Bluebird, the Citation Excel is absolutely beautiful. And the artists that did that here locally in Lincoln, with our paint folks, design and layout folks, really did an incredible job. This is kind of a collaboration too with a team of people. It's taken, here in Lincoln, our design team, of course, Derek being a part of that, and the initial design. It's far from being just a fish. When I spoke with the artist Derek about some direction, I told him I'm really a freshwater lake kind of guy, in Canada, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the fish that I love are, really the northern pike and muskie and walleye. And I see that iridescence, in this paint job that you see in those fish. And Derek, of course, spending his career knowing these types of fish, gave us 4 or 5 different opportunities, and I think this one with its purples and well, literally, I shouldn't say just purples, 22 different colors that our paint shop used. So you kind of see that when you see freshwater fish today too. It is outstanding. I think so much detail and so much work behind what you see. It's just easy for me to talk about it, but it's hard to put into words, isn't it? When you see unusual things like this that are really great pieces of equipment too.
I was excited because another challenge. It's been a little while since we've had an interesting one, so we were ready for it.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, how are we gonna do this? And then it just turned into figuring it out, get a game plan together. This is probably the most unique one we've done.
Yeah, we've done a few aircraft where there were some blends involved and some fades, but for sure this one was more involved with different colors and different mixes. We had to make our own colors from time to time, so as far as that aspect, it was pretty challenging.
Turned it up a notch.
Yep. When we first looked at the artist rendering, it's kind of hard to see any hard edges on the rendering. So even the shapes were kind of faded on the edges. And so to keep the shapes true to the drawing, we had to find a way to make the shapes but soften the edges as we went. So
for all the shapes and stuff, we outlined them with foam.
Yep, with a foam ring, so that as you're looking on, it made the edges all softer. It was challenging and took a little bit of time, but we were able to pull it off, especially the painters.
Reactions to any of our aircraft are all over the board. The one that I get that I love the best is when people say, well, it's interesting, which is another way of saying they pretty much hate it. So that's cool. And I'm not a real fan of our green one, as I was mentioning. The green splatter one is never, okay, it's interesting is what I tell people. But I absolutely love this one. And I absolutely love that, that it is Derek's art, and it is him, and you don't really know what kind of fish, or if it's a fish, or yes it is, and no it's not, but what is it? And I love that about it, and that our paint team, pulled this off in this kind of way, is just incredible. So it really is always a big group of people that work together, and I think over 100 people, well over 100 people touched the aircraft and the project here in Lincoln. I mean, this is the most fun a guy can have. This is just, short of owning your own football team or something. I mean, this is really it's having the creative talent behind you, and the ability and the time, and let's be honest, some budget to say, let's do something really different. And I was always a low-key guy. I never thought, you should make too much of a statement, with your aircraft. And I was wrong. Dad proved me wrong there again. And this will be a great advertisement for us. It's a hell of a lot of fun, of course, to be able to celebrate. But we'll have this for years to come, and it really does recognize the hundreds of team members, that worked on this, that work on every project, that make them, unique and different. Yeah, I think, it's like anything that when we work on it and focus on it, we get better at it. And uniqueness, unique schemes and unique ideas, designs, our folks thrive on them because they are that. And we see more paint jobs than anybody in the United States. And so to be able to do unique ones is a heck of a lot of challenge, but a heck of a lot of fun. The purple is awesome. But the whole variety of the thing is crazy how it changes.
Love the gradient.
Yeah. The interior is really beautiful. I never intended for the exterior paint scheme to be replicated in the interior. I thought it should be somewhat separate, in its look and its feel. And, so what guided us, was sort of I'll be honest, a Western Nebraska feel for me, sort of natural colors and leathers with an absolute, very small hint, flare, maybe of the exterior scheme. So we've got unique stitching in the aircraft. I had one of those moments where I was like, wait a minute, it's our interior shop, man. It's our team. And if we want to have two different colors of stitching, we can actually do this. And it's awesome to be able to have that kind of detail. And our customers do as well. And so it's not like, necessarily, an upcharge for that, right? It was just a unique consideration. What if we did? And so, yeah, the back two seats are actually a different color of leather, different type of leather. And then they have different color types of stitching on those back two seats as they do in the front. And that stitching actually, harkens to the exterior of the aircraft. Those are the one or two things that we did do in terms of, color and bringing, just a dose of color into the interior of the aircraft through the exterior paint colors. It kind of highlights all the different craftsmen that work here and that touch this kind of project, all the way from, small shop in Denver, which a handful of folks that pulled off an enormous amount of work, an enormous upgrade to this aircraft with the Garmin system, to our paint interior folks. I don't have to talk about the creativity when you look at the aircraft and sort of all the years brought to bear, the hard work. Our interior folks do incredible work and incredible creativity matched with some fantastic technology and machinery. We've been able to have some fun with this. I had huge shoes to fill, a really high bar to achieve after some of the paint work that we have done, not only for ourselves, but for our retail customers. And so when I took on this project for the PC-12, it was something that I knew we had to do extra special. And I can't wait for it to be out in the world very soon.